to our online workshop tonight, where we are specifically going to discuss the world of nutrition. Foods that help you reverse symptoms. We're going to talk about dietary theories. We're going to talk about metabolic eating. We're going to talk about all the stuff that you need to know in order to be successful on your journey towards getting into whatever physical shape you desire to be in, and some of the mindsets that will be required along the way. So I have my man, Mr. Christopher Francis Bamberg, here with me. And there he is. Say hi. And we're going to go ahead and get some slides going and serve you with some amazing information. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the Facebook group or on Facebook. Let me adjust my camera, and that way we can make sure that we get to those for you in a timely manner. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get going. So here we go. So iatrogenesis. You may have heard this term before, and you may not have. Well, if you haven't, don't feel bad, because this is something that I didn't hear until 2 years ago. And I've grown up in the health and wellness field, Chris and I both. So we'll actually explain this term and why you should be more familiar with it here in a few moments. So we invite you to be fully present as we share this information with you. And the first thing I want you to think about is it's possible that you can create your best life ever without breaking a sweat. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but what we are going to do is we're actually going to take the guesswork out of it, and we're actually going to show you time-tested information that we have discovered over a lot of years and a lot of experience and a lot of failures too. So we invite you to be fully present as we share this information. Turn off your phones, close your Facebook, go where it's quiet, and get some water. You will hear me specifically say time to take a water break multiple times throughout this chat as we share this information with you, mainly because water is extremely important. It's going to help your brain to function and retain more information. It's going to get more oxygen to your brain so you are alert and alive. So we invite and encourage you to take notes. And I also invite you to consider this, that today is the only day that we will have. So do something for yourself today that tomorrow you'll thank yourself for. And the reason why we say today is all you have is because yesterday will never happen again, and tomorrow may never come. So we invite you to be in the present as much as possible. Here's your first drink to get a cue, or first cue to get a drink.
Chug, delicious water.
Yep. So here's the current state. This is as of 2013. And you know what's funny is that they just updated the stats of 2013 last week, and that's why we changed them from 2010. So keep this information in mind with a little grain of salt, so to speak. So here are our biggest killers in the United States that I think you should really be aware of, so you understand what you can do to get out of that statistic. Okay, heart disease, 611,000 deaths a year. Cancer is approaching fast at 584,000. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, almost 150,000. Stroke, almost 130,000. Alzheimer's disease, 84,000. Diabetes, which is completely unnecessary, completely reversible, has 75,000 deaths a year. And a lot of times the diabetic people end up dying of heart disease because it affects the heart. And the last one is influenza and pneumonia, and that's almost 57,000. You may have even seen me post a video this week on Facebook about flu shots or food. We kind of laugh at that. Most people don't really get why we laugh at it, because it's completely reversible and completely unnecessary when you understand what to do, which is what we're going to share with you tonight.
Yeah, I think the reason why we really bring these numbers up, I'm going to go over these numbers here in a second, is simply the fact of cause and effect. Right? We have a for-profit medical system that has to make money on pharmaceuticals to survive, right? And unfortunately, because we've put all of our genius into just making modern medicine, uh, the natural way of getting better and getting healthy is both forgotten about, and the for-profit system goes against it. So they generally do not want to know, or there is no education about the foods that do the same thing as the medicines, right? And so we have an inherently broken system, and I think some of these numbers really speak to that, right? You have 2 million, and this is just in the US, by the way, you have 2 million adverse drug reactions a year. That's over, that's, you know, that's like what, 0.3% of the population that has a terrible reaction to drugs. And some of those drug reactions are death, by the way. 20 million prescribed antibiotics for viral infections. And if you don't understand the difference, there's a bacteria infection and there's a viral infection. And because antibiotics are so overused, 20 million were prescribed for viruses, which basically they do nothing. In fact, they actually damage your immune system a little bit and actually can make you weaker to viral infections. And it also is one of the reasons why we have these superbugs, MRSA and stuff like that. 7.5 million unnecessary surgical procedures. So basically, a surgery wasn't necessary. There was a natural way or a better way to fix whatever the scenario was, and yet that's how many we were having. Almost a million, almost 800,000 deaths due to modern medicine. That actually makes it the #1 cause of death. Now that's not, so the CDC lists deaths by disease. But what they don't list is all the accidental deaths, or they list them and coerce them differently. So that stands for, that includes adverse drug reactions, medical mistakes, dying from bed sores, staph, MRSAs, infections, surgical mistakes, unnecessary procedures, and outpatient deaths. So that's an alarming number. That means we have so many people in the system that the system is accidentally killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. And that just shows how, even though we are #1 by far in medical spending, that explains why we're like 47th in universal healthcare globally. That puts almost what we would consider third world countries, some of them ahead of us in our healthcare. We also have 350,000 deaths per year linked to overweight or obesity. So you might have died of diabetes or heart disease, but that was because you were specifically obese. And of course, there's the preventable medical errors, which is that iatrogenesis term. Feel free to Google that when you get home. It is a scary statistic of how many people the medical system accidentally kills. But there's great news, and this is really the way and the understanding and the information that Brian and I have been blessed to be sharers of, and that is that 90% of these deaths are preventable with better lifestyle choices. That means changing your air and your breathing techniques and the water that you drink and the food that you eat, and including your consciousness and the way you think about that things as tools in which we share information. And because this information is so powerful, and there are the same ways that they prove drugs are effective, we can prove that foods are effective for managing and reversing your symptoms without the use of medications, without unnecessary surgeries. There's so much amazing things to be found in nature and the way that you think, that changing your life is quite possible, and it will most likely save your life. So Brian and I have obviously been doing this for a long time, but we love to share some information about ourselves. We started our first venture together almost probably 10 years ago, and we've been doing presentations all over the place for a long period of time. We are blessed to speak at multiple events. You see Brian and I at the top center there. That's at one of our church speaking engagements. We did a multiple week series, multiple years actually, at Life Austin. The two pictures on the right are me speaking at the March Against Monsanto. I've spoken there the last 2 years. I've actually been invited to speak again this third year. Thousands of people march here in Austin, but really millions of people across the world march in protest, basically, of the quality of their food. And so, I'm blessed and honored to be able to speak at that event. And I'll let Brian talk about his own little photos here that of some of our events.
So awesome. Yeah, so like Chris said, we've been blessed to be able to speak in a lot of different public arenas, and it's something that we really love and cherish and are grateful to be able to do. So, a couple times a year we get asked to come out to the Veda Institute and share a lot of stuff that we're actually going to share with you tonight on detoxification and on disease reversal and symptom reversal and things like that. And we actually get to go out there and talk to them and, you know, share with the class and the things that they do at Aveda, which is actually a very holistic school, the things that they do. So it's always an honor to cruise out there, because then we actually get pedicures and manicures and all that stuff too for fun. So the gentleman on the left, Mr. Jonathan Sprinkles, is a good friend of mine, one of my clients. He's a professional international speaker, but he's actually just on the Steve Harvey show. He's been on the Dr. Phil show, been on multiple shows, but he's known as America's Connection Coach. But Chris and I actually work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of moms and dads, people in specific health situations, people who are speakers, and we help them to tweak their foods, understand how to eat on the road, how to keep their immune system boosted while they're on the road, and all that fun stuff. And at the same time, we are massive believers in personal development. We invest a significant amount of time, resources, and money in making sure that we are basically just consistently pushing ourselves to be our best. And that picture on the very bottom where it says, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness, is where I was the beginning of this year, in the middle of a jungle out in the middle of Cancun, Mexico for 8 days. And we go on events like this periodically throughout the year to challenge ourselves and to push ourselves. So that's what I was doing. And I understand we just mentioned a lot of pretty cool stuff, you might say. But also, too, it's important to understand that we have done a lot of things wrong. And that's what we're kind of going to discuss now. One of the things that we used to do is we used to do a lot of gym training, a lot of personal training. We used to do a lot of specific coaching on a one-on-one level, and found that even though we were doing personal training and things of that nature, that a lot of our clients would still not be able to reach their goals. And a lot of it we found was specifically because of emotional blockages, emotional beliefs, emotional systems that were not supporting their highest benefit. So therefore, they would continually sabotage themselves. No matter how good their food was, they would completely come off rail. And after a while, we finally figured this out. So that's what kind of got us into this part, which is we discovered this the hard way, and you actually get the option of having it the easy way. So after 40 years of combined experience, over 15,000 case studies, we finally found the perfect formulas for each individual's unique health and vitality. And a lot of the people that we've dealt with, from people with HIV, from people with Parkinson's, some people with dementia, with ADD, with Alzheimer's, all of this stuff, and even so much people who are obese from 300 plus pounds that are looking to come back into a normal way of life. What we found through working with all these people is that there is a huge emotional component to each and every one of those situations that I just mentioned. And really what we do now is we work a lot on the emotional components, combining the food programming with that to help people to be successful.
It's definitely all encompassing, right? And because we've learned that there's no one perfect diet for anybody. There's no one perfect coaching or counseling session. Every person is different, and everything that they're dealing with is different. But that has grown us with, after working with so many people over so many years, we've really learned a formula to be able to help people in so many different aspects of their life. And so now what we want to do is sort of help you imagine just some of the success stories that we have had that might ring true for you, or something that you might be hoping or trusting in your own life is coming true, which is first, just the experience, right? When we really, from getting the mental and the energy perspective and helping somebody get their food and diet right, is amazing how just even minute differences in diet can make amazing things for energy. So imagine just, no longer being lethargic or struggling to get by through each day, or having those 2 o'clock crashes in the afternoon, or just lacking the energy to do what you desire to do, and having more energy than you've ever had, or that you've had in so many years since you were younger. Imagine wearing clothes that you haven't worn since, say, high school or college, or whenever you were in your best, your fittest weight, wearing those again. And it's so many people that just don't believe they're capable of reaching that weight again. Maybe because they tried so many different diet programs and failed or struggled. but it is possible for you to be the size. Your bone structure hasn't changed, so therefore it is quite possible to change your physical structure to go back to when you were at your best weight or when your clothes were fitting the best for you. And imagine enjoying your life pain-free. You know, this one that rings home for me to true was my mom and the way she suffered with fibromyalgia, and she was struggling for so many years just to move. She could be bedridden for 3 or 4 days at the time. Well, it's been 7 years now since we've helped her with her food, and she teaches dance again, even though she was retired. And she feels great every day. There's so much healing that is involved in that. And it was done through food, not medicine. And I'll tell you, this is the one that we have found when we worked with clients on both physical and their nutrition and their training, but they were failing out because of stuff going on at home, their relationships, relationships with their significant other, their children, their relationships at work, and helping them understand what's going on, not take things personally, forgive people in their past, and restore those relationships and have them more connected than they've ever been before, or just fully restored. That is a beautiful thing to be able to have in your life. And it is very possible with some of the formulas and tricks that we teach. And then, man, one that Brian and I, Brian's got a testimonial here in a little while, but one that's just so near and dear to both of our hearts. And one of the things that we're so blessed to do is be able to share the information of foods that do the same thing as medications, and watching people get off medications they've been off for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they thought they were going to have to take them for the rest of their life. But a simple food did the job. So Brian and I like to just take this one little moment and share a little friendly disclaimer. And that disclaimer is, if you haven't figured out, Brian and I are not doctors, nor do we actually care to be. Although we understand there's a sort of legitimate legal claim to your health that doctors have taken. They've sort of taken it away from nutritionists and chiropractors and anybody else that actually practices your health, and figured that if they were the legal go-to, that everybody had to go to your doctor to get health advice. And so we encourage you to bounce this information that we share with you off of your doctors. Now, there's a great chance that they have no idea what you're talking about when you mention it, because less than 6% of graduating physicians have even 3 credit hours in nutrition. And, well, we have a little bit more than that. And so we love to share information about the foods that do the same thing as the medications that they love to prescribe you. And so they may not know about it, but lucky for you, there's lots of Google documents to be able to search and figure out and back this stuff up, or there's PubMed.gov where you there's these peer-reviewed studies. We'd love to be able to share that information with you, and maybe you could share that with your doctor. Brian?
Yep. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shed some light on some common myths that you may be operating under now and have no idea that they're not even serving you. So myth number 1, eating past 6 p.m. will make you fat. This is important. If you will hear Chris and I refer to our bodies like cars, for example, if you were to, wherever you live, if you're taking a road trip that's 3 or 4 hours away, you would not take off and not pull over when your gas light comes on in your car to put more gas, because obviously you would be stuck. Now, your body, our body specifically, is significantly a bit smarter than that, meaning it's going to pull nutrients from different areas of your body to help you make it through that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to stop on you at the moment, but if you don't tend to it, it's definitely going to deter your performance and your physical abilities. So for example, your body still burns calories at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. So if you're eating every 3 hours, you're eating the right structured foods for your body. That is not necessary. Second one, lifting weights will make me bulky. Lifting weights has nothing to do with making you bulky. It is your nutrition or lack of nutrition that is not supporting your goal that is creating that situation. Myth number 3, low fat and no fat diets are good for you. So this was one of the biggest mistakes that we've had as far as a country. And this is why so many diabetics and situations are going on right now, because fats are amazingly important for your heart, for your brain, for your nervous system, for your blood, for your hormones, for all of this stuff. And when we pulled all the fats out, what happened was is all the sugars got dumped in so that it still tasted great. And that's where we start running into all of our current day issues today. And number 4, medication reversal, or medication is the only way to fight disease. And honestly, this is kind of crazy, but if you would have known me 4 years ago, I would have told you probably need to go see a real doctor, meaning Western medicine doctor. And you obviously can see that our stance and our position on this is completely 180 at that point. Well, I have seen, Chris and I both have seen so many different people have come off of medications from food that it's staggering. Like, we expect it. It's not surprising to us when people's medications have to be removed. And most people are like, oh my God. I'm like, if I hadn't seen this 1,000 times already, I would say the same thing. But here's actually one story from my client, Carol Martin. She's actually 73 years old, and she had asthma for 40 years. And she was an avid tennis player, and her asthma got so bad that she actually had to stop playing tennis. And she moved to Arizona to try out the different climates. And she had 2 near-death experiences from not being able to breathe and getting cardiac arrest. And luckily, we're able to resuscitate her. But when I came in contact with her, this is actually when I was personal training a couple years back. And she came in for her first session, and we started doing some stuff. And literally, we would work out for 20 seconds and take a break for a minute to catch your breath. Like, for the whole hour, work out for 20 seconds, take a break for a minute, catch your breath. Work out for 20 seconds, take a break for a minute, catch your breath. So this is where Chris and I were really messing around with a lot of food reversal things and things of that nature. And I said, hey, Carol, why don't you try out 2 kiwis today, and let's do 2,000 milligrams of a DHA EPA fish oil blend. So she went home, handled her business. We came back the next day. We started warming up, started working out, and she kept working out. And she kept working out. And I was sitting there waiting, well, maybe she's going to need a break here in a second. She kept working out. She kept working out. She literally kept working out for an hour straight with no issue. And I asked her, I said, Carol, what did you do differently today? Did you take your inhaler? She goes, no, I did specifically like you said. I did the 2 kiwis. I got the fish oils that we discussed. And this is what I noticed. And literally, I was baffled at that one. But wait till you hear what Violet has to say about what happened with her experience. And I've seen so many of these, Chris and I both, that it's amazing. That's why we invest so much time sharing with you things about the grocery store. And this is Mr. Russell Martin. This is talking about body language stuff. So look at Russell's picture on the left-hand side. You see how his left trap is a little higher? That means that he has a burden about receiving, which means he has some things going on underneath, maybe some unforgiveness, some anger, some shame, some guilt, whatever the case may be. But what happened was Russell has been from that 23% on the left down to 11 or 13% 3 times before we got him down to that last part. And the reason why is because every time he got down to 11 or 12%, he would sabotage himself completely because he felt guilty and he wasn't worthy. And his body was like, sabotage, go eat all your food and fall off the wagon for 2 months and put it all back on. It wasn't until he finally started doing his mindset training, making him do his affirmations, going through his emotional stuff that he was holding on to, his unforgiveness, his whatever, all the stuff that he was going on with. We actually started dealing and addressing with that stuff directly. And that's when we actually were able to push him from that 11% down to 6. I mean, he's probably at 6% now. That's an amazing transition. So next one. So this is Mr. Chad Goldwasser. This is one of my good friend, my good buddies and my good clients. And he's actually owns Pure Gold Realty. But he was actually the top Keller Williams agent of over 200,000 agents, had his own show and everything. But basically what we did with Chad is work with him on his nutrition, so when he does his public speaking gigs, his head is on point, his energy levels are intact, and he's ready to roll. It's a very high energy individual. So we worked on a lot of mindset things and a lot of word choice things with him, and really just taught him how to just fine tune his craft even more than what he was doing at the level that he came into contact with us. This is my friend Lily. Lily is one of those people who is an amazing athlete. I probably work with 2 or 3 of these people who I would say we call them crazy athletes, people who run 100-mile races and Ironmans and things like that. And the amazing thing about it is that she dropped from 31% body fat to 22% body fat in 17 days. Now, that is not normal. That is her weighing and measuring her food and doing the things that we're specifically going to share with you, and her being extremely active on top of it and being very open-minded to the feedback that I gave her when it was time to make adjustments to make sure that she stayed on target. So she had an amazing experience.
So we're going to spend a little bit of time covering what we cover in this in our program. And this nutrition program that we do is very all-encompassing, because once again, there is no perfect diet. However, there are very valuable diet theories. And sometimes, and I know it is in my own case, and I know it is in Brian's case, sometimes the perfect diet for you is a combination of multiple different diet theories based off what works for you, your lifestyle, your belief systems, whatever that may be, around the quality of your food. So we spent some time on all these different diet theories. These are some of the top 7 that we definitely see a lot of value in. Mediterranean, statistically speaking, it's one of the longest lifespan diets with less chance of chronic illness. South Beach diet for getting accurate and anti-inflammatory. The zone diet, based off Al Sears and his reformation, especially, this is where we learn the difference between glycemic load and glycemic index, which is way different than measuring the way blood sugars are converted versus the hormone response, which is very, very important. And so it's a very anti-inflammatory diet. The Atkins diet, which is kind of what a lot of bodybuilders use for cutting down, but it was really designed for cutting weight. And people do this very incorrectly, but done correctly through the proper 4 phases, Atkins is a very healthy way to lose weight. 80-20 or 90-10. This is about doing things right a certain percentage of the time, or rewarding yourself a certain percentage of the time, where you're doing all the good things most of the time through most of your meals, and allowing yourself the leeway or the free play to be able to do what you desire occasionally. Raw food eating, so good for people with autoimmune disease or struggling, so good for your digestive system. We as Americans for cooking meat, we're to prevent bacteria, just got in the habit of cooking everything, cooking all of our vegetables and our fruit and all this ridiculous stuff, where so much of our nature is designed to eat raw food. A blood type diet, which is based off cell lectin. So understanding where there might be an immune response or a lectin response on a cellular level based off your blood and your genetics off foods that you may or may not have a response to, right? We also spend a lot of time on the immune system. What foods help the immune system or hurt the immune system, how your environment has an effect on your immune system. Where they say your digestive flora, 80% of your immune system is actually based in your digestion, in that gut bacteria. They say the average human has 4 pounds of bacteria. It's trillions and trillions. It's actually more bacteria in your gut than you have cells in your whole body. And so maintaining the good versus bad bacteria is part of this ecosystem in our digestive system that has been developing or evolving over since humans have existed, and it is the key element in us being healthy or not. Immune boosting foods, we're going to spend a little bit of time about the nature and the quality of foods and how they affect and how they reverse symptoms. Emotional withholding and constipation, how that stuff affects your digestive system. Fighting cancers, the foods that are there to cause or have studies to show that cause, or the ones that are published medicine about fighting cancer and killing and immune suppressing, and the effect of genetically modified organisms. What is the real truth and understanding behind this science and engineering of GMOs? Remember, Brian and I think you can both agree with this. We're not actually against the science. What we're actually about is pro-health, and there are side effects to genetically modified foods, both for the environment and for the human body, that are proven. Acidic and alkaline balance, right? The homeostasis of our body, and how our bodies have become acidic because of our diet and our environment and our belief, and how much big of an impact water is. Water is their number 2, right, on our list of things that you'll die without. I mean, a few days without water, you're done. And so the quality of the water that you put in, people have all these substitutes like carbonated beverages or coffees and all these other things that might have water as a component, but not as the source of their vitality. And you know, Americans are walking around chronically dehydrated. It's why there's such a huge stimulant addiction here. Digestive health, sunlight, all these things that have affected good and bad foods in nature. Um, and then we spend a lot of time on symptom reversal foods. Many of you have seen Brian or I's grocery store videos where we're talking about, you know, powerful foods that do the same things as medications that you can find in your grocery store. And we spend a lot of time on this because this is, you know, Brian and I are not here to sell supplements or sell you a product. We sell you the information that will change your life, not just your life, but your whole family's life, by recognizing the foods that you can get at your grocery store that will help you reverse your symptoms, help you fight chronic ailments, help you fight disease to be your healthiest that you've ever been. And I don't know if Brian, you want to go over some of these foods real quick? Because there's some great foods that we have pictures of right here.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one up on the far top left is acai berry. And from an antioxidant perspective, acai is arguably number one between that and the purple sweet potato, which you may have actually seen us do a video on before. But the purple pigment and carotenoids in the acai, and that with blackberries and blueberries, is called anthocyanins. And the beauty of an anthocyanin is it actually has the ability to cause cancer cells to kill themselves or to create cell suicide, which is known as apoptosis. Pretty interesting. The good thing about it too is it's an amazing fat, and it's great for diabetics because there's no sugar in it. Now, the second one you have there is cilantro. That is your number one nature food for pulling out heavy metals, specifically great for mercury. People who have Alzheimer's, dementia, neurological dysfunctions, this stuff is amazing. Now, this is very important. If you're writing stuff down, I encourage you to jot this down. If you use cilantro specifically for the purpose of chelating metals because you have heavy metals in your system, you definitely require making sure that you are going to the restroom, meaning your bowel movement or exit strategy is more than 2 to 3 times a day, because you don't want to start pulling out heavy metals and not having a place to get rid of them, because heavy metals are moved 80 to 90% through your bowels. Okay, so if you're using the cilantro, you want to make sure your bowels are working. But the second thing you're going to do is you're going to pair it with the asparagus, the avocado, or the broccoli because of the glutathione, which helps to, when the metals are pulled out of the fats, those 3 foods, the asparagus, the avocado, and the broccoli, are what's known as phase 2 enzyme foods, which means they detoxify our system. So when the metals are pulled out of the blood, out of the fats in our brain into our bloodstream, those 3 foods will push them out of our system. Chris?
Yeah. Listen, we spend not only these foods, but we have, man, on our regular president, there's probably 30 foods that we spend so much detail and time on. All the different health benefits, the cancer fighting foods, the foods to help you reverse diabetes, the foods to correct your blood pressure, the foods to help you with autoimmune disease. We spend time on each and every one of them because these are the ailments that we showed you on those first couple of slides as the causes of death. So we recognize that these are the most important things that we can help you with right now. Maybe you're lucky enough or you're blessed enough to have early warning signs that something might be wrong and that it's time to take some action. So this information is that action. This is how you take control of your life. You extend not only the life to the amount of years that you have, but the quality of life you have while you're here. We spent a little bit of time on optimizing your health, balancing your hormones, metabolic rate. I mean, it's so common to say or hear that, oh, I have a genetically slow metabolism or whatever it is. And what most people are just unaware is it's such an easy thing to actually manipulate through your diet. You know, autoimmune symptoms or diseases, there's so much you can be done with food, just so you recognize, like, you know, first started with my mother with fibromyalgia, which is an autoimmune disease, and that so many of them are reversible very easily. Anti-cancer foods for those that have struggled with cancer before, or maybe they've recognized cancer in their family, or maybe they're going through that struggle right now themselves. this is life-changing information that we love to share.
So here's what Think Great Nutrition is going to be all about for you. We're specifically going to discuss dietary theories, which we already did, but more in depth, and more importantly, how and in which ones you can apply to your life so they effectively help you. We'll talk about metabolic eating. We're also going to talk about macros and micros, which are your proteins, carbs, and fats, which in my opinion is probably one of the most important pieces of information that you could know uniquely for your body, because that is what's going to allow you to get into great shape and to stay in great shape no matter where you're at, who you're with, and where you are on the planet. We'll talk specifically about symptom reversal foods like we already did, but much more in depth, and specifically which ones are going to cater to you. We're going to talk about blending versus juicing. You've seen us both do videos on both of these, and we're going to talk about the benefits of them and how you can make them work for you. We're going to talk specifically on hormone balancing, what foods you can do, what foods you need to eliminate. We're going to talk specifically about digestive health, how you can boost it, how you can understand when it's off, what foods you need to not eat that make it worse if you are constipated, and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about how to boost your immune system by 80%, specifically talking about your digestive health. We're going to talk about autoimmune issues. We're going to talk about blood sugar issues, and then we're going to talk about why fad diets don't work.
So Johnny is actually somebody I've worked with for many years. Brian and I met him at a project 3 or 4 years ago, and man, Johnny has had so many ailments, and I'm not going to give away his health information, but you know, we're talking about organs removed, struggling with disease, and you know, there's a big difference between being, you know, let's just say being a doctor and being a nutritionist, just like there's a huge difference between being a chef and being a nutritionist. Johnny knows so much about food and the effect on the human body, but yet at the same time, you know, he was lacking information about that, how diet could help him with his struggling diabetes. And if you live anywhere in the South, I'm sure you've heard of Johnny Carino's or Carino's Italian. If you live up north, maybe this guy's a stranger, but it's a pretty popular restaurant that it was of his design. Oh, see if I can play that real quick.
Hi folks, this is Chef Johnny Carino speaking to you from my home here in Atlanta about Chris Van Berg. I just need to tell you, for the last 3-4 years or so, I have struggled with my very own health issues. I am an expert in the restaurant industry. I'm a great chef. When it comes to health, sometimes you need to reach out to other people. That's why I reach out and I trust Chris to help me with my plans on eating, being healthy, and ways to beat my diabetes. Chris is A1 in my book.
So we want to spend a little time on just understanding what's different, right? And what is different is let's go back to the way that people have thought kind of up to now, which is, one, the doctor was your single point of health, right? And the doctor doesn't generally tell you what to do from food or lifestyle. They tell you what medications to help you treat your symptoms. So the old model is definitely trusting your doctor to just taking your health, not getting second opinions, not seeking outside, or not taking ownership of your health. You know, fad diets, crash dieting, pills, you know, we have to understand that so many things out there we're taught with fads, or you know, I mean, there's all these crazy diet theories out there, from like cabbage diets to these cleanses to all these different ways, which all have short-term effects. We go in depth in understanding about why some of these things have had success, or certain types of success, or understanding why your body would lose weight but not the right kind of weight. You know, really going in depth about why these things don't work, or what about them had benefits or not. You know, buying expensive supplements and diet pills, Brian and I, once again, we're not here to sell you a supplement or a product of some type. Where, you know, it's almost frustrating to me when I meet other health coaches and their single thing that they do is sell a product. We sell you the information to change your life. Viewing life's obstacles as hard or too much work or stressful, these are all the old ways of doing things. And there's actually a better way. So we're going to share our model, right? Or just the new model to do it, which is one, taking absolute and full responsibility for your health right now, your well-being, and your future. Because you know what? In the end, there's only one person that's actually responsible. If you go to a doctor, you go to the hospital, you get the surgeries that they tell you to do, and you still die, they're not responsible, right? You are responsible for your own life, and only taking in one direction or one point of advice is a failure. Learn how proteins, carbs, fats impact your body composition, how to get macros to work for you and stop working against you. Understanding and the education behind what is the composition of the foods that you're eating and how they affect your body is life-changing. Learn how the power of grocery store foods, not extensive supplements, the power of foods to both you get off medications, to be healthy, you know, the difference between macronutrients, which you talk to manipulate your body composition, and the micro, the phytonutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes, all the power that's in our fruits and vegetables is what we love to teach about. And you know, life is a choice. You can make it fun and easy. You know, that there's so many sayings out there that I think word choice is really important, but you know, people are constantly saying to themselves, oh my gosh, the struggle is real. They're making everything this big dramatic struggle. And we have more conveniences at our fingertips than most of the world or ever in history now in this present day time. And you can choose to make this ride fun and easy. We teach you how. Ryan, you want to talk about Violet?
Yeah, so let's just let Violet talk about Violet.
I like it.
Hi, my name is Violet. I choose to take a few minutes and talk to you about my experience with reaching out to Brian. About 6 months ago, I contacted Brian. I just had some questions about nutrition, you know, different things I could change up just to start feeling better. And we also talked about different medications I was on at the time. He mentioned foods that specifically could do the same thing as what the medications were doing, except naturally. And so along with that, and you know, the other list of things that you know, he said, you know, to try, I started doing that immediately. And after about a month, I started to wean myself off of one of my medications. And then after I got off that one, I started weaning myself off another medication. And after 3 months, I had gotten off of 5 medications. Some of these medications I was on for 30 years, some I was on for 15 years, and some I was on for 10 years. And so these were things that I thought I was going to have to take for the rest of my life. You know, before that conversation with Brian, I didn't even realize that there was another option. And you know, it's been 6 months since, you know, I talked to him about these, you know, specific things, and 3 months of being completely off medicine. And I really am so happy and thankful and grateful for Brian and for the work that he does, and just the love that he has for people, and showing them that they have other options, you know, that they can feel good just with the right information. And I just felt really blessed to, you know, have that opportunity to, you know, talk to him about those things going on in my health and my diet, and that, you know, he's so knowledgeable and just really helpful, and offers you this opportunity to change your life. And that's at least the way I look at it, because I look at this more than just, you know, oh, I'm off medication. To me, it's a miraculous act, you know, to be able to say I'm free from all of this. And it's also given me, you know, such a sense of empowerment too, to know that, you know, doctors couldn't do this, you know. Boots from the grocery store did this. So it's kind of wild, but definitely grateful for it. Thank you.
So, you know, it's wild is that we've seen so many of these kind of situations happen that it's almost expected for these type of things to happen. And humbly speaking, we're still blessed and honored to be able to deliver this content and information every time it happens. But, you know, maybe this is you. Maybe right now, sitting in that chair, looking at this screen, you're like, well, let's see, I'm on 1 medication, 2 medication, 3 medication, 4 medication, 5 medication. Doctor's talking to me about putting me on 6 medication. That's $300 a month that I spend. Notice I didn't say invest. You're spending on managing symptoms that could very well be at your grocery store that you've walked by for 30 or 40 years of your life, having no idea that that's what those things do. Well, today could be your opportunity to take back your life and break free from the prison, just like Violet did. So here's your invitation to join us. And we know you're not a goldfish, but we just like the picture. So here's what you get. And here's what we're offering for you on this series that we're putting together for you. And basically, we're looking at 6 live online trainings. It's all about nutrition. It's going to have some mindset stuff in there because it's crucial, because I don't care how good your nutrition is. If your mindset is not set up to help you to be successful, your nutrition is going to fail because your mindset's not going to help to keep it in place. We're going to talk specifically about symptom reversal foods. Like, we'll have at least 2 or 3 hours of conversation about symptom reversal foods. You'll have access to the recordings if you miss them. You're also going to receive our healthy eating digital recipe book. That is a $60 value. Your total investment right now at this point will be $757, but we have some more stuff for you. Here's what you get for bonus number 1. We actually have a secret Facebook group specifically to support you. If you decide to come on board, we have this group specifically to help you out with, and so you can mingle with other people in our community and in our tribe that we get to ask questions and bounce ideas and things that off of. But you'll basically have the whole family aspect. You get the whole community support of like-minded individuals, which is always important. If you're desiring to do, be, or have something in your life, hang out with people that do, be, or having it themselves. It's a lot easier to do. If you don't have a support system, you are more than likely going to fail. You may have seen the video that I posted today specifically on one of my coaches, specifically my nutrition coach, because I'm a professional and I still have someone that helps me do my diet to get out of my own way of thinking. So I have objective feedback and data that I can follow, and someone that I know I can trust to give me valuable information and wisdom that I can bounce off my own. Okay. Here's what you get. You'll receive 6 online trainings, just like we talked about, specific about nutrition, mindset, symptom reversal foods, and creating a diet or a food program for life. That's almost a $700 value. You'll have access to the recordings if you miss the live sessions. You'll also receive our healthy eating digital book, which has a ton of recipes that Chris and I use and accumulated over the years. That's a $60 value. And bonus number 1, you'll receive 2 months free access to our closed paid membership site, where we have exclusive content and information that doesn't go out on our normal page.
Brian and I also want to give you some videos we've done about smoothie recipes. And what we've done is we've combined a lot of this information that we have about the phytonutrients, the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes that are all in these wonderful grocery store foods, and how, you know, Brian and I have both been making smoothies now for so many years that we've really got this down to a nice, perfected, fine science of delicious recipes that have amazing health purposes, benefits, great for symptom reversal or medication dependence, you know, just trying to have you more energy or balance your hormones. All of these wonderful things can be treated through smoothies. And so, but this one's going to be a limited number of people. So we've done a couple of these videos. We haven't shared them with anywhere out in the public yet. But if you're interested, we're going to share that with the first 10 people on these smoothie videos. So we're going to get everything Brian talked about, all the trainings. You're going to get the recording. You're going to get the digital recipe book. You're going to get our Facebook group, which Brian talked about. But I got to tell you, that community is so amazing. And to watch other people share information that they've learned with each other, is just, that's life changing. And they say you're the sum of your 5 closest friends. Well, surround yourself with more people that are like-minded with the same goals, and it is life changing. These smoothie recipe videos we're going to include, which are also life changing, disease reversing, powerful smoothies. If there's one thing I could tell anybody to change about their diet that would help them live a longer, more full life of less chance of chronic illness, it would be implementing vegetable and fruit smoothies into their life. If that one single thing of eating those raw foods and fruits and vegetables, and knowing how to do that, because I tell you, I get that question all the time, so I just don't know what to put in or how much or what quantities, because once again, there's a fine recipe or technique to be able to please your palate while pleasing your body with what you require.
So bonus number 3, we're actually going to give you a free 30-minute consultation that's over a $500 value. And here's some of the things that Chris and I have done on top of getting our own selves out of a hole, so to speak. And you may look at some of these pictures and say, oh, wow, well, I can relate to that one or whichever one, but these are all experiences that we have been able to create for other people, including ourselves. So it's important to know that you're getting information from people who know, like, and live what they do and have had their own struggles, because if we hadn't had our own struggles, we definitely would not be able to help you out. And keep in mind, this offer specifically on the consultation part is only for the first 5 people. So if you're feeling called and this resonates with you, then you may want to go ahead and make it happen before you get beat out.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, which is, Brian and I only have limited time, which is why we have to, we'd love to give everybody a consultation, but, when we're selling our programs, we really only have a limited amount of scope. We spend a lot of time with our personal one-on-one clients and stuff, and our masterminds. And so we, to service as many people as possible, we can only give this to a few people. So concluding real quickly, right? We've already talked. Once again, you're going to get the 6 trainings. We're going to go over so much information. It is going to change your life. There's so many beautiful things to know and education that we're going to share over the last, our combined 30, 40 years experience, and having worked with 10, 15,000 plus clients. We're going to condense that down and give you the most powerful information we've learned and successes that we've learned with all of those experiences. Healthy eating recipes that we've been collecting for so many years. It's a great recipe book. It's so great for people just getting on the road to starting eating a healthier life. Our closed membership and community, the smoothie recipe books, and a consultation with us if you're one of the first people to act. I'm telling you, that's some life-changing information right there. So total investment for all the value of all these wonderful, beautiful things would be $1,500 or so. What we're going to do is, we're going to show you, look, this would be a great value if half off. Half off would be $768. That would be the consultation with us. That would be all the smoothie videos, the nutrition, and a 6-week program with us. For the general public, we normally charge $499 for this public. But since you stayed to the end, and I know it was an hour-long presentation, so I applaud you for staying to the end. But hopefully you learned something. I trust that you learned something today that might be valuable to you. We're going to offer this right now at $244. So if you look at the link below, there's a click to enroll. That click to enroll should take you to $244. Now I'm going to take that down this evening. So I encourage you to enroll before 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, because I'll be in bed by 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And please share this information. We want you to be able to share this information with your friends and your family. So come and learn with us, invest some time with us, because you are your greatest investment. There's nothing else you could put into that as much return as investing in yourself. Any conclusions there, Brian?
Yep, that one. We guarantee that if you're unsatisfied for any reason, no questions asked, within the first 2 weeks of you joining us on our journey, we'll gladly give you your money back. So you really ultimately have nothing to lose and everything to gain, including your life and whatever situations or disease reversal medications, whatever body you're in that's holding you hostage in prison. There's definitely ways to go about changing this and really creating what you actually desire versus what you're dealing with. So, Chris, you have anything to add?
You know, to this day, we have not had anybody ask for a refund. So we are quite empowered by the information that we love to share. And, you know, people just follow us afterwards because there's so much more to learn, so much more to share. We have other programs we are sharing, but this one seems to be, I'll take that back. This one is really the biggest life changer and the first step on the road to living an extremely healthy life. And man, more energy, more freedom, you know, all these wonderful things that come with having a healthy body and a healthy mindset. That's it. We hope you learned something tonight. We trust that you learned something tonight. We encourage you to reach out to us if you have questions. We're looking forward to teaching this program with you. Have a blessed night. And just remember, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. Have a good night.
Last thing, one of my coaches told me this before we dropped about 40 grand into a coaching program. And he goes, you know, Brian, if you focus on the payment, you'll never receive the payoff. And it was that conversation and that statement that really challenged every limiting belief system that I had. And I said, you know what, is this worth me receiving this wisdom and information to implement it into my life and to change my life? And it was worth every penny of it plus that. And what we're doing is we're offering you the same opportunity for a fraction of the cost. So if you are having issues about the 244, the issues is not the 244, it's the value and the self-worth that you're holding on to, that somewhere you don't think that you're worth it. And when you give that 244 to us, you're not giving it to us, you're giving it to you, in which we're going to serve you with the information that will gladly tenfold your money with your experience, and whatever experience you come out with of reducing the medications and getting the body that you desire with the information in the community that will help to support you on your mission.
Amen.
So have an awesome time, have an awesome day, and we look forward to supporting you and loving you and just helping you on your mission, because that's what we do. So have an awesome night. If you have any questions, please reach out to us via cell phone if you have it, or if you want to hop into Facebook chat group, whatever you need to do, let us know how we can support you, and you have our commitment to do so. Have an awesome night. Bye-bye.
Bye.